Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Up and Coming Artist Podcast. I'm Ben, and I'm an animator. And I'm also sitting here all alone because Christian isn't here today. Why am I so lonely? No, actually, Christian's doing some really cool video production work for a company as well as created a new website. I'm just going to give him a little shout out. You can check it out at christiandavisvideo.wixsite.com/portfolio. I'll put a link to that if you're listening to this via YouTube and or on my website. I'll put a link to that so you can check out his photography, his editing, and also his video work. Now, before I get into an exciting podcast with my good friend Chase Laux, in which we talk about his experience in visual effects, I just wanted to take a quick moment. If you're listening to this podcast on iTunes, a couple friends of mine have recently started a really fun podcast called Cold Coffee. You can check that out on iTunes and Spotify for sure, where you can also find this podcast you're listening to now. John, Caleb, and Vinny are three good friends of mine. We've known each other from church for a while, and yeah, it's really fun. If you're lonely doing your art, drawing all by yourself, Cold Coffee is a great way to not feel like you're so alone. Another good one, if you're listening to our podcast on YouTube, is to check out my good friend Kevin the Aptrepreneur's podcast, The Monthly Rideshare Podcast. You can check that out under that name on YouTube. And if you're into Lyft or driving Uber or thinking about it, bringing some extra dough, we all know how these lonely nights get of no money as an artist. You can check out Kevin's podcast over there, The Aptrepreneur on YouTube. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce my good friend Chase Laux. He is a visual effects artist, and we'll talk about that with him in the podcast, as well as a 3D animator. I've known Chase for a while, and he is currently the president of Poly Squad, which is a computer animation club at California State University, Fullerton. And you can check out the cool work he's doing over there at Poly Squad. That's Poly, P-O-L-Y, Squad, C-S-U-F. Poly Squad, C-S-U-F. So, if all my plugs are out of the way that I'm not getting paid for, I will sit here all alone. I hope you guys enjoy my interview with Chase Laux. Hey guys, welcome back. This is Ben. I'm flying solo again without my brother Christian. And today I'm here with a good friend of mine, grabbing lunch. He's a 3D artist, animator who specializes in visual effects. My good friend Chase. Woo! Welcome, Chase.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Okay, something we got to get off the table right now is the pronunciation of your last name.
Laux.
Laux. Okay, L-A-U-X. I wasn't sure.
I'm not French.
Yeah. Is it a French name, though?
No, German.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that. That's interesting. So, Chase Laux.
There we go.
So, Chase, why don't you tell us a little bit about, like, what you do as an artist?
Primarily, the way that I do visual effects is that you just start out by just getting the overall shape. Like, if you're going to do, like, a sandstorm, then you would block it out by just using like spheres and then stacking them on top of each other to get the rough shape of how it's going to look at the end. So then you can get art direction on saying, yes, we like the way that this will look, its shape direction, or no, why don't we make it a little wider, let's make it more narrow, funneled more, a little further up, top section maybe a little further back. And once you have that down, then you can take the spheres and convert them over into the actual smoke, and you just start building upon that, and you just start making emitters that will create the smoke, or if it's an explosion, then you would use that to make the explosion. And then you also use controlling of shapes, densities. Do you need it more dense? Do you need it thinner? You just start pushing and pulling the values of each of the different elements, and you have to break down the effects into what the parts are. Like a explosion is not just the fire. You got the fire, you have sparks or whatever caused the explosion. Like if it's a tanker that exploded, it's not just going to be fire. You're also going to have to put in fuel. You're going to need to also have a little bit of a liquid density at the bottom that helps control and make it hotter. If it's hotter, then you're going to have something that might be red, blue, and orange, maybe white if it's phosphorus. just got to figure out what elements are in it, and it changes the way things look, behave. You just have to do R&D for a lot of things. Just figure out how things behave and interact with each other.
That's awesome, man. That's so cool. So to take it back even a step further back, because that was a great explanation, and we'll dive more into that in a little bit. But so I said that you specialize in visual effects, but even what are visual effects? Like, let's take it back to the very beginning.
Well, in the very beginning, before there were computers, people just did practical effects where you'd like literally go out to probably the old depot, go get a barrel of gunpowder, put it into a bag, and then ignite it, and you have yourself an explosion.
And this is for film, right?
Yeah, traditional film, back in Charlie Chaplin days. Hopefully everyone knows Charlie Chaplin.
Yeah. They better if they're listening to this.
And then after that, then it moved from practical effects into like painting effects, where you just get a pane of glass, and then you paint on there like with matte paintings, and you just paint in the effects from different frames, and you do
paint it onto the film or like a glass thing?
On a glass pane.
Right, and that's the camera's looking through that, right? Yeah.
Yeah, just like they did in Charlie Chaplin, what was it, the Gold Rush, I think is what it was called? Yeah, where they had him like skating on rollerblades, and it looked like he was getting ready to fall into a hole, but it was literally just a straight slab of concrete, but it was painted in there so well, just like in Star Wars, the Star Destroyers in the whole galaxy. Alderaan, those are all just painted glass, and there's no explosions, none whatsoever. It's all just painted. But then in the remaster, they got rid of all that, cut it out, and then actually did it again with real effects now that the technology has gotten better.
And by real effects, you mean like digital,
yes.
3D
CGI.
sculpts, right? Yeah.
Yeah, just like they did with General Tarkin. I think
Oh, yeah, with Rogue One.
Yes.
Yeah. And we met that guy, right? Was it Hal Hickel?
Yeah, Hal Hickel.
Yeah, Rogue One, the Star Wars story. He was head at ILM of, I think, the CG on that. Which I'm talking about, computer generation.
Yep.
So, from Millet and Chaplin all the way up to now, which is like 3D programs, when did you start to realize that's what you wanted to do?
Well, I started out doing like film editing and sound composing, and that was just too easy for me. And I'm just like, eventually this is just going to get too second nature, and I'm just going to get it to rut, so let's find something a little more difficult. And I just kept trying out different things, what's more difficult. And eventually I ended up getting into doing 3D modeling, texturing, matte painting, visual effects, and I just kept trying out different mediums of 3D. And I finally found visual effects, which is the best one, because you're always learning, you never stop learning. And what you used to be able to do a year prior, there's now a new process to do it. And so you have to always keep relearning the same stuff you used to be able to do. And there's never just one way about doing something. There's like 10 or 12 ways about doing the same exact process. So it's nice where it's like, let's try it this way. Maybe it's faster, and if you get faster turnarounds, you can get stuff done quicker. The company will like you better. Or if you're doing freelance, you can get more jobs because then you're having faster turnarounds, so you can have more projects going on at the same time. So it's always better finding newer, faster ways about doing the same old process.
That's awesome, man. Well, and I see that in your work too. I'll let you take a bite while I compliment you. But I see that too. I was looking at your art station today and seeing like the different kinds of things you have going on there. Like you have your animation, you have effects animation, you even have traditional media stuff on there, which I thought was cool to have. So, like, when did that start for you? Because I know you were talking about you started with editing and all that stuff. Was that high school? Was it before high school?
Yeah, I started doing film editing in high school.
For a class?
Yeah, we had a yearbook class, and it was video yearbook, and I was the lead editor on that. Be a videographer. I'd go out to, like, lacrosse, football, soccer, and I just film them with the HVX 800 shoulder body cam. Panasonic.
And that's a digital camera, right?
Oh, yeah. I still wish I had one of those. It's a beauty. It ran on P2 cards, which are pretty much like mini, I think there's like either 8 or 12 mini flash cards that like the ones you put into like digital cameras. Like 12 of them into one card, and it could take 12 of them. Those could film up to 1080 on them, and each of them I think was like probably, if you're shooting 1080, I think it was like maybe 4 or 5 hours of footage.
Wow.
per
And
card.
12 of those? Wow.
Exactly, and it just had that many slots, so it's like...
Got a whole movie on there, at least.
could,
Yeah.
That's pretty much what it was a film camera. And it's like you always want to make sure that in the eyepiece you have it on zebras, so that way you can see where it's overexposed.
Oh, wait, explain zebra and overexposure.
Okay, what zebras are is when you're looking at a black and white image, is it will have like hash lines where it will just show where the light is very intense, where it's really bright, and in that area you won't be able to get much picture because it's so bright. That's why before you start filming, you have a white balance card, just like something that's white, and saying, you're just telling the camera, this is white. What is white? And so then it has like correct color because the light's always changing. It's like white is not going to be the same color in midday as in morning and sunset. It's going to be different throughout the day, so you're always white balancing and then changing the values.
Yeah. And so you learned all that in that class.
Yeah.
And then when was your first like 3D program? Like when did you get into that?
First 3D, that would have been in 2013. I was at OCC and I took my first 3D Maya class there.
Oh, nice. So Maya was your first one.
Yep. And then from Maya, I went over to Max for 2 years and then went back to Maya.
So Maya, for those listening at home, Maya is a 3D modeling and animation program, but 3ds Max is also one, and they're made by the same company, right?
Correct.
They're both Autodesk. So what's the difference? I've always wondered.
They both can do the same processes. They just have different ways about going to them. Whereas Maya, once you make a change, it's set in stone. You can't go back and change anything modeling-wise. Whereas with Max, you can just toggle things on and off. It's very procedural that way, where you can make as many changes to it as you want, and you can just toggle every change you make on and off. If you don't like it, you can just take it off, test out different things. Very procedural, very modular that way. But where Max kind of falls through is when you start getting into like animation, where it can animate as well. Just Maya has better tools for animation than Max.
And when you're saying animation, are you referring to character animation? Yeah, okay. I know, for those listening at home, just could you talk for a second about the differences between like character animation and then like visual effects or effects animation?
Okay. Character animation is where you have various characters that you'll see in like animation films from like DreamWorks, Disney. So like if you're an animator for Disney and you were working on Frozen, so you'd be taking like Elsa or Anna and you'd be moving their legs and doing like a walk cycle for them to walk forward. Whereas effects animation is more where you're doing like an effect like an ocean sim for Moana, where you'd be animating the water to move like an ocean. Or you're doing like a storm, and so you're making really high waves for like Kubo with Laika.
Right.
And then those would be effects animation, or if you're doing like Rogue One, then you're doing like Stormtrooper, gunshots, Star Destroyers getting blown up. Or General Tarkin's face getting morphed so that way it looks the way it did in the originals. Kind of like trying to learn and keep up with all the different areas, because there's different areas depending on the company. It's like some companies split them up into different areas. Like with DreamWorks, you have character animation and FX animation, which are different. Whereas like if it's characters, then you would be working with like hair effects, which is like the way that the hair behaves. If you have like a dragon breathes fire, that's still character animation because it's the character that's producing it. And if you're like walking on the ground, then you'd have dust that's getting picked up for that kind of effect. You also will, maybe if they stomp really hard, then you have some rigid body destruction. The ground is getting destroyed because they're just walking so hard. Or if you are working on Thor, he hits the hammer to the floor, and you have the ground getting destroyed along with a fractal animation that is being applied to the lightning, and that's how it just spurts everywhere. And so all of them have different character effects. Environment effects, which would be like a dust storm, meteor hitting the ground, volcano erupting, anything that is not exactly referenced by the character, it would be classified as environmental effects. There's like character effects that are always fun ones to do, where you have like a whole like army, then you're just telling each of them in parameters on how you want them to move, where it's like, you guys are all going to be going this direction, but if you're within this distance, this is what you do. And then you also have offsets with them. So you throw in some noise generating for them, so then they aren't all walking in time with each other. They're a little off. Some people are up while others are down. Some are swinging, some are taller, some are shorter. So you have variations as through their behaviors and body language. So then it's not easy to say, yeah, they're all fake.
Right, yeah. Like a whole massive army or something
Yeah, it's like, we don't do like what we used to do in the past. Like, you go see Monty Python and the Holy Grail. At the end, they got an army of actual people.
No.
Nowadays, you'll have like 1,000. It's like, yeah, we don't have 10,000. We might have 100, maybe 200 actual people there, and then we just copy those people.
But that's awesome, man. No, that's super cool. And I think like one thing that shows too is like, and I hope people who are listening can get this through what Chase is saying. Chase is super knowledgeable about this field. Yep. Chase has done a lot, and that's what I appreciate about Chase.
Yeah. It's definitely a good thing to do when you're doing 3D, is to just do a little bit of everything at first. That way you have knowledge of everything, so if you have any issues with anything, you know how to problem solve and fix it. Yeah, and it's like when we did our group projects class, I was officially on one team, but I was unofficially on every team. Exactly. It's like Tina needed me doing his water, helping a little bit out with his turtle. With the game team, they needed me helping them on how to do effects for like the shoes as they're running to get some dust just in the foreground. It's like, this is how you do it.
That was a cool game. So since we were talking about Cal State Fullerton, and you taking charge and learning stuff, I mean, you're the president of the Computer Animation Club at Cal State Fullerton.
That I am.
And this is your last semester there, right? We were just talking about that. So you were coming out of OCC. You knew you liked visual effects. So when you came to Cal State Fullerton, were you like, oh, this is definitely what I want to do, or were you still trying to figure it out?
Well, I knew that I wanted to do stuff 3D. I just went there to learn a little bit more, with not just because before there, I was pretty much everything that I learned, I just self-taught myself. Like, I should get some actual hands-on training to figure out if there's anything that I don't know that I already taught myself. So that way, if I ever have any issues, they can help me. And it's like, one of the funny things is my rigging teacher that taught me rigging at OCC was also the same rigging teacher at Cal State Fullerton.
Oh, really?
Bang.
Oh, it's Bang?
Yeah. It took us, each of us, we were just like, I know you from somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, we both knew that on day one, and it took us like 2 or 3 weeks, and we're just always spitballing. It's like, are you from here? No. Here? No. Okay. And we just kept going back and forth, just trying to figure it out, and it took us like 2 or 3 weeks, and then we're just like, here? That's where.
Yeah. So like, with 3D programs, here's my experience with 3D programs, people. Something goes wrong, and sometimes it gets really funny. Have you had some good stories? Like, I know you have some with a dragon rig.
I could go on for hours with that dragon. First off, I put in way too many bones for that dragon. I think
this is, and to back it up, sorry, this is a 3D model character of a dragon that you were attempting to rig in Professor Fang's class, right? Okay, yeah. So go ahead.
Yeah, he didn't want me doing a biped since I did that in his class previously. He's like, why don't you do something a little more complicated? Maybe some sort of quadruped. And so I'm like, okay, I'll do a dragon. And so I think that dragon, when I was done with it, I think it had close to 500 bones in the whole body. I can't tell you how many times I broke that rig and had to go back and start all over. It's like, I think I did like 8 or 9 renditions in one semester. Oh.
What about other ones? Like, have you ever had problems with effects where it starts doing something weird that you didn't imagine?
Uh-huh. When you do liquids, they don't behave normal. And you gotta tell it, this is a hard surface. You will collide with this. You gotta tell it how to behave. You do not do what you want. You do what I tell you to do.
Does it just, like, go all over the place, or, like...
Yes, it does.
Get stuck to stuff or something?
Yep, it can.
So talking about Vang in school, like, what do you think schools taught you the most? Like, about visual effects and 3D animation?
Probably the most thing that they emphasize that is true is that you have to be able to be a team player, because unless you do freelance, you're always going to have a team. you may not like the people, but you're going to be on a team because you have to be able to work with people, and you got to be able to take criticism because you're never going to do this thing one time and never touch it again. You might get taken off of it, go work on something else for a little bit, and then come back to it again in a couple days or a week, or maybe a month later, depending on how long the pipeline for the whole project is. It's like the last internship I had at Gadgetbot. It's like I was brought on at the last minute to do all their effects for their game for VRLA and E3.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and it's just like,
here you go,
hey,
intern.
Hey, it's nice that you came to look at our studio, but we need an effects artist, so are you free to start coming in for us, and we need you to do all of our effects for our VR game? And I was like, okay.
Oh my gosh. To kind of transition, so, but you've also done a lot of stuff with Houdini, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Could you
She's my
talk about
baby.
your relationship with Houdini? Like, it's like you guys are dating or something,
She kind of is. It's kind of like the secret mistress on the side.
This program called Houdini is the secret mistress, yeah.
I cheat on Maya with Houdini. Yeah, but it's like, Houdini is like the software that everyone needs to like switch over to, because it's like anything that you can do in Maya, Max, Nuke, Mari, you can model in Houdini, you can rig your characters, you can texture them, and then you can do effects, you can do anything in Houdini. The only thing you cannot do is concept.
Oh, yeah.
The only
you need
thing.
people for that, yeah.
Yeah, that's the only thing you cannot do in Houdini. Everything else you can do in there. You can go from start to finish for your whole film, minus editing. That you can't do as well. That's it. But it's like every other stage of the process you can do inside of Houdini. If you're doing games, you can just take whatever tool you're building Houdini, send it over to Unity, or you can send it to Unreal Engine, Godot. You can just make a connected bridge, and anything you do in one program, it updates in the other. And you can just send them back and forth. Your
That's
models,
awesome.
your tools, any effects you make, they're all just streamlined back and forth, which is very nice, instead of having to always export things out and then import them into the various software packages.
So how'd you first get introduced to Houdini?
Google. I was just searching on there for like good 3D FX software packages, and it was like the one that just kept being named on all the forums.
Wow.
And so I'm like, okay, I should look into this and figure this out. And so I just started with that. When I started doing effects, it's like each effect I did, it would take me like 6 or 7 months to finish. And then I started getting faster and faster, and right now it's like I can do most effects that are like 2 months, but sometimes they take a little longer, where it's like 2 months to do the effect and then 2 months to do the shading on it to get it all physically accurate, how it's supposed to look, how it's supposed to behave.
So thinking about effects, is there like a specific area you want to focus on, like either specifically in effects or even as broad as like video games versus films or commercial projects? What are you thinking about?
What my end goal would be where I could do film or games, because I would like to get into like cinematics, which is film. Well, like
For games, right?
Film
Cinematics,
for games,
yeah, that's what cinematics is, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like you could still do film because it's still the same quality, same procedure. Nothing's really changed. The only difference is, instead of doing physically based shader textures, you're doing a little bit on the cartoony side. But it still would be physically accurate, because you also got to do the lighting. That would be like the right way. You got to figure out where the sun is coming from, on how you're going to shade it.
Like Overwatch would be an example people probably know, or examples like that.
That's like one of my favorite cinematics is Blizzard's Heaven's Gate cinematic. My friend David Long, who's a senior matte painter at Blizzard, worked on that.
So, there is like so many opportunities for VFX right now. I mean, it's in every movie and video games now, cinematics too, and VR and AR and all that sort of stuff. Where do you see VFX going in the future?
It all just depends on the company, because it's like if you're staying with like traditional games, VR and AR won't go into there, but VFX will always continue to evolve, to change. But with AR and VR, effects are changing, because you aren't just working with a 2D screen, you're working in a 3D space where you can look in 360 degrees. So you have to be able to see the effects from any angle. So you got to convert the 2D images of effects and then put them onto a 3D object, so that way it can be seen from any angle. And so there's different processes about how you got to think about and approach effects when you work in VR and AR. With Ready Player One, it's like even some of the stuff that they even approached in there are very plausible, like some of the challenges that they had in the book, but that's only if people read the book, where you had to go through a movie and reiterate it word for word, scene by scene. And they did war games for one of them, in which we could actually get into doing, where old films are made into VR AR, where you can just experience the film as if you are a character in the film, which I could see us doing. And then you're going to have to recreate the old characters, make them into models, and then project the old style of film into there as well. And so I could see us doing that a few years down the line, but that's only if people agree to start doing this. But then we also have to bypass all the licensing agreements that companies have. It's like, we don't give this game company or this film company the ability to recreate our film, unless it's Disney, who's buying up everyone.
Yeah. So what about you, though? Where do you see yourself going with VFX, like in your personal work?
VR and AR, that I could see myself doing that. I enjoy doing it, but right now it's looking like I'm probably going to aim for like DreamWorks. I got some friends there, and so I might start out there, do that for a few years, and maybe change over to a different company and just start moving up, get into leadership positions, art direct, but one thing I always want to be doing is being able to do effects. And not just be like, I'm a supervisor, I'm just going to sit behind my desk all day and just do Excel docs. No. Mm-mm. I just want to be able to enjoy life and do effects.
Yeah. That's like Chase's life motto. Yeah, he should have a t-shirt for that. Enjoy life and enjoy effects.
Or we can go with the old memes. Keep calm and keep effects living.
Yeah.
Effects is life.
And I don't think VFX is going anywhere except for
Up.
upward. Yeah. Well, that's awesome, man. So, like, for those listening who maybe would be interested in doing, like, the kinds of things you're talking about, like visual effects, VR, AR, or any, cinematics, any of that stuff, like, what advice would you give them, not only for learning that stuff, but also, like, programs and different things like that?
The first thing you want to do is go onto the Side Effects websites. They are probably one of the few companies that actually give you tutorials for free on how to start learning this stuff.
Wait, it's Side Effects?
Yeah, it's the company that makes Houdini.
Oh, that's right.
And then there's plenty of Discord channels for Houdini, and it's just like a helpful community, because no other software has a helpful community that it's like, oh, you have an issue? Here, send me your file, and within a couple hours, I'll have a solution for you.
Wow.
They'll help you out. This is what I'm trying to do. This is my code. Where's my issue? And then 30 seconds, maybe 2 minutes, someone posts a reply like, this is what you need to do to get it to work. With most programs nowadays, when you do effects, you got to know some code. So it's like the main one is like Python is what you use to like control effects. But if you want to do like tool building and build tools to help out other people or to send to different softwares, then you need to know C.
C programming, the language?
Yeah, there's so many different variants of it. Even if you aren't going to get into effects, you still should know programming, because some companies might have Linux. Then you're going to have to know code, because you can't do anything without doing code in Linux.
What places run Linux? Do you know about?
Pretty much any company.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's just like if you do effects, you're going to be on Linux. And it's like if you do compositing, you'll do Linux. Like Ryan does now.
Right, yeah. He's talking about our friend Ryan Swan from school. He just helped out on a film. What was it called? Mile 22 or something like that? Yeah.
Yeah, and he's actually in the credits.
Good for him.
Right?
Shout out Ryan. Yeah.
Hashtag Ryan made it.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, but Chase, I mean, you've done a lot of great stuff. And this is your last semester of school. Like, I can't even imagine all the stuff you're going to be able to do.
When people you don't know are like, I've seen your name around. I recognize this name.
That guy. Wait, it's your last name that I can't pronounce. Yeah, yeah. So just to finish up here, like, your work is super professional, super exciting. I remember watching your reel during the film festival, and I was just like, I could watch that snowball rolling down the hill and building up snow and all that stuff for like hours. But that's a testament to how much time you've put in to learning visual effects. That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
So where can people go to find your work? Like, where's the best place?
You can always go onto my ArtStation, and you can see some of my work there, or also my Vimeo channel just has like most of the video links. And if you are looking for tutorials, I got a few tutorials up on my YouTube channel as well. And so those are some good places to see some of the stuff I'm working on.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
Well, I'm excited. I'm excited to see what you have going on in your life, man. It's been awesome. So enjoy life and visual effects.
Yeah. Hashtag VFX is life.
Yeah. Well, thanks for meeting with me today, man.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
And that concludes my interview with Chase Laux. I really hope you guys enjoyed getting to learn from Chase's experience in visual effects. And yes, I actually asked the pronunciation of his last name in the podcast this time. Sorry, Scott. You can check out Chase's work at chaselaux.artstation.com. And I hope you the best in all your artistic endeavors. I need a cool sign off.